Well, I talked about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, so now let's talk the Amazing Spider-Man movies, in particular the first one. So let's get started. So as I previously stated, I enjoyed the Spider-Man trilogy. It was fun. I like these movies. They really captured the comic book-esque aspect of Spider-Man, and they were pretty good. 1 and 2 in particular. 3 was okay-ish, but it could have been better. Now we move to the next, the Amazing Spider-Man movies. These movies were made as a reboot to the series because they canceled Spider-Man 4 because I'm not sure why they did. I think 3 wasn't as well received even though it did well financially. But yeah, these were made in a different style. While the Sam Raimi trilogy was done in more of a comic book style, this was done in a more realistic, dark style, kind of similar, if I guess maybe the Dark Knight trilogy as like an example, because like the older Batman movies, not as serious and stuff, and more cartoony, comic booky. But the Dark Knight trilogy, more dark and realistic. Same with these, I feel. So first off, The Amazing Spider-Man, released in 2012, starring Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy, and other people. And it was directed by a guy named Mark Webb. That's the perfect name for a guy directing Spider-Man, Mark Webb. I wonder how intentional that is or not. But anyway, this is a movie that gets a lot of hate for some reason. Now, I'm just gonna say this. This is the first Spider-Man movie I ever saw. When I saw it in theaters, I absolutely loved it. I hadn't seen it in a while though. I bought it on online, and I bought the Blu-ray, and I watched it again recently, and I still like it. This is a great movie, and this might be my favorite Spider-Man movie ever. And I know a lot of people are gonna hate me for that, but I really like this movie. It's really fun. So this is basically a reboot of the first Spider-Man. It's an origin story. Basically tells a tale of Peter Parker, he's this high school outcast, nerdy kid, and he gets bitten by a radioactive spider and then gets his spider powers. So then his Uncle Ben gets shot, and then he becomes Spider-Man because with great power comes great responsibility. We've seen it before, and now it's done again. And I feel this is a pretty good attempt at doing it. The first Spider-Man is a great attempt too. This one is also good. They're both great origin stories. If I had to pick one I prefer, I kind of like The Amazing Spider-Man more, just because I like the overall movie more. The origin story itself, I think, is done equally well. But I do kind of like this one a little more, because it's a little more realistic, and I like, some of the choices they do more. For example, I like Peter Parker's portrayal. He's portrayed by Andrew Garfield this time. Garfield's a great Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire is pretty good, but I don't know. I kind of prefer Andrew Garfield, to be perfectly honest. I don't know. He captured more of the, joking and arrogant, cocky Spider-Man who was just like this, hey, what's up? You think I'm a cop? Yeah, I don't know about that. He's just cracking jokes all the time. Spider-Man, he's pretty cool, and I really bought him as Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire is a great Spider-Man too, and Tobey Maguire captured the more awkward, geeky side of Peter Parker, and that really made him seem more like a fish out of water when he actually became a superhero. Andrew Garfield is more of a learning how to be responsible thing, because he wasn't really a bit of a responsible kid before he became Spider-Man. He was more of this wild card, social outcast guy who was smart, but at the same time he didn't really talk to people, and he was kind of a weirdo. And when he gets bitten, he doesn't really know what to do with his powers and stuff, and eventually he kind of just goes on the revenge mission once Uncle Ben is killed. He feels like he's responsible, so at first he uses Spider-Man powers for revenge to find the guy, but then he later realizes with great power comes great responsibility when the emergence of the Lizard shows up. The Lizard is basically the villain in this movie. Dr. Kurt Connors is basically him. He basically is experimenting with Peter and stuff, and they find this thing that'll hopefully regenerate limbs and stuff, and it turns out the test subjects become weird, freaky mutant lizards, and that's what happened to Kurt Connors. And yeah, I gotta say though, the villain is probably the weakest part of the movie, but I'll talk about that a little bit more. Now, Mary Jane, the character, is not in this movie. Replacing her is Gwen Stacy. I don't remember if I talked about her in the Spider-Man 3 review, but in case I didn't, I really didn't like Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man 3. She was just so weird and awkward, and really seemed like she was only there to create a weird love triangle, and just to make Mary Jane feel awkward and such. But honestly, Gwen Stacy is a much better, in The Amazing Spider-Man, is a much better love interest than Mary Jane. For one, Emma Stone, she's kind of hot. Okay, yeah, all jokes aside, Emma Stone, I really feel like she captures Gwen Stacy well. Like, she's a scientist who really, you know, she grows to like Peter. And, you know, eventually when he becomes Spider-Man, she becomes supportive and tries to help him, like, by cooking an antidote for for something goes on around the end of the movie, or actually putting herself in the line of danger to help Spider-Man, which is something Mary Jane never did. All Mary Jane did was get captured all the time. I don't hate Mary Jane. She's a nice character. I just don't like, you know, the fact she's captured and has to be rescued. Gwen Stacy, I feel, is a much better love interest, and I really like her character a lot more. And I feel like, you know, she's more interesting, the way she does things, and, you know, her father's this chief of police who doesn't like Spider-Man, and, you know, and a lot of people are kind of anti-Spider-Man in this one just because, you know, they kind of feel like, yeah, he's this vigilante, we don't know if we like him. And, you know, it kind of takes a while for people to kind of be okay with Spider-Man again. Not like the Sam Raimi one where, you know, it kind of takes a while and, you know, people really like him. You know, it's kind of one-sided on some ends, but I think it's done well. The action scenes in this movie are so good. Like, literally, they're filmed so well. Like, the cinematography when Spider-Man's fleeing on, like, rooftops and stuff, and then fighting the lizard, like, in the school, it's so fluid, it's so well done, I love it. Like, it's such a great action scene. I'd say it's better than the Sam Raimi trilogy. And yeah, the like, train scene in Spider-Man 2 is awesome, I love that. But the Amazing Spider-Man's action is so good. I love the cinematography and the way they do it all, just so well done. I love that stuff. And it's just great action, really entertaining to watch, I must say. And, you know, I really buy Peter and Gwen's relationship. Like, they had a lot of good chemistry together, you know, they're adorable together, I'll just say that. Like, they were so cute together, because, you know, you really felt the chemistry between them and the struggle they were dealing with, because, you know, Peter is becoming Spider-Man, and, you know, Gwen finds out, not really kept in the dark like Mary Jane was, and, you know, Peter doesn't really want to put her in danger, but, you know, she's okay with it, she wants to, because she likes the thrill, and she wants to be important. I like that, and I really have to say, a lot of the stuff in this movie is well done. I don't have that many complaints aside from the villain, the lizard. You know, Dr. Kirk Connors is kind of interesting, but as the lizard, his motivation felt really sudden, his shift to being bad. Like, you know, the guy, like, he became the lizard because, you know, he was trying to cure himself because he has one arm, and, you know, this guy was going to try it on kids at, like, a children's hospital because some of them didn't have limbs or something, and, you know, he wanted to stop that. And, you know, he eventually gets really violent on a bridge and stuff, so Spider-Man has to come save him, and now he's, like, evil, and he believes in evolution of the humans, so he's going to turn everyone to lizards. It just felt weird, the way he just turned for no reason. I hear some deleted scenes, like, gave more reason and more connection to Peter and Kirk Connors, you know. But I haven't watched those yet. I've heard they make the movie better, which, okay, I have the Blu-ray, so I'll check it out. But, you know, it's really interesting the way, you know, the villain could have been better, because the villain is really the only complaint I have with this movie. And, you know, for the most part, the movie goes really well. Like, I'd say the weakest part is probably around the middle-ish, where, you know, it's kind of dealing with Gwen and stuff. But even then, I still like it, because I still like the characters. The Amazing Spider-Man is a really entertaining movie. I love it, and, you know, I really feel like this movie gets hated on a little too much by Sam Raimi purists. You know, I kind of really feel like those people need to just, you know, forget about the Sam Raimi trilogy, just go into this movie, expect Spider-Man, expect to see some good action and all that, you know, just put it all aside, pretend those movies didn't happen, just look at the movie as it is, and kind of superhero movie, and you'll enjoy it. Like, you know, I didn't even know the Sam Raimi trilogy existed when I first saw it. Now I do. I can compare the two. The Sam Raimi trilogy does X better, X Amazing does Y better. I don't care. I just look at the Amazing Spider-Man itself, and I see a great movie that I personally like the most out of all the Spider-Man movies. And it's a really fun movie, and if you don't really like it, I'd say at least give it one more shot before you completely write off you hate this movie. I don't know, it was a fun movie for me, and I really like it. I'm going to give The Amazing Spider-Man a 94%. Fun movie, great action, cool stuff, and yeah, next we're going to be talking about The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is a very controversial movie. A lot of people really don't like this movie, though there are some that do. I'm going to be checking this one out, because it's very interesting, and I actually can't wait to talk about my opinions on this, because it's going to be long, and I don't know, a lot of people might agree with me, a lot of people might disagree with me, I don't know. I look forward to talking about this, though. So yeah, I'll see you guys then. Adios, home slices. Ow. Gotta work on those web slingers.